All right. Good morning, guys. Actually, it's afternoon for us here in Michigan. But my name is Ryan with Michigan Storm Chasers. Got a few things to talk about today. Go ahead and let some people hop in the chat here. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me okay. Don't want any mic problems here. Been experiencing some of those in the past couple of streams. So give me a thumbs up here. Be good to go. Good to go here. What's up, Ford, Mike, Macomb County, Ford again, Mystic, Julie, Flint, Alan, Alicia, Chelsea, Theo, Matt, Deborah. All right, guys. All right, let's go ahead and start. So first and foremost, before we jump into Michigan's potential risk for tomorrow, I do want to highlight for those of you with friends and family out to the west in Oklahoma and Kansas, we do have a rare high risk in effect for those areas out west here. Zooming in, main areas here, Oklahoma City, Norman, up toward Enid, up toward Wichita, Kansas, in those bigger risk areas. So if you have friends, if you have family out there, send them a text, give them a call, let them know what's up today. It could save a life. All right. But that is not the purpose of this stream. We are focusing more so on the risk here in Michigan tomorrow. It is not of a significance compared to today's high risk. It is actually the lowest risk on the spectrum, level 1 out of 5, but there is some caveats here. All right. We could see some potential go both ways for this. We're going to jump in here momentarily. But first and foremost, your severe risk here encompasses areas up toward the Ludington, Mount Pleasant area, back down through the northern suburbs of Detroit. So Flint, Lansing, Ann Arbor, Monroe, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Jackson, Coldwater. You guys are all within this risk here. But notice how that slight risk level 2 out of 5 is right below the border here. It actually brushes the very far tip of Hillsdale County there, maybe even Lenawee County there as well. But overall, the risk is highest the further south you go. What are the risks being mentioned right now? Well, first and foremost, large hail. That's going to be the main concern for right now, at least. Same exact areas here underneath that risk, highest off to the south, but in that general vicinity of the dark green areas, up toward Ludington, back down through Detroit and areas south to the borders. All right. Same exact thing goes for wind. Wind is a secondary threat here, our second concern. And that's going to encompass the exact same areas, once again, from Mount Pleasant down to the northern suburbs of Detroit, down to the border of Ohio. But the SPC, shockingly, put a 2% tornadic risk out for, again, the exact same areas here. It's just a little bit further south than the actual risk area, but pretty much the entire area needs to be on alert there for a potential tornado or two being possible. So what are we thinking in terms of this? This is just SPC guidance. Let's go ahead and jump into a few different scenarios here, okay? So first and foremost, the models for tomorrow have kind of thrown a curveball into it, and they have been throwing a curveball into it. Between yesterday's guidance and today's guidance, we have some new models that have come out here, which give us a better idea of what to expect. And these models that have come out that are new they're still kind of splitting Michigan here, but to our south, they are uptrending the risk. But for Michigan, we're still on that borderline here. So let's go ahead and jump in. So we have today's risk out here in Oklahoma. We're going to see the model here, fire up storms out to the west. We see them very clearly here, Kansas, Oklahoma area. That's your risk for today. But what that's going to do is it's going to push into a squall line eventually across Iowa, Missouri. It's going to continue to push our way overnight tonight into Illinois by 5 a.m. our time here. It gets to Indiana here roughly around 10 a.m. And then it'll reach Michigan as should be decaying at that point. Not expecting severe weather with this initial band of showers and potential storms here. They could be severe out to our west, but they should weaken as they get towards us here in Michigan. Not overly concerned with that first line, but what happens behind it is what we should be concerned about here. We see scattered development forming 2 p.m. across Illinois and perhaps parts of Indiana here. This is 2 p.m. Let's go ahead and zoom forward here to 3. Here's 4. Here's 5. They reach Michigan 4, 5, 6 p.m. in the evening. Southwest Michigan here is in that area of concern. This is 6. We're going to move ahead here to 7. Here's 8. Here's 9, and then here's 10. They should be clearing the state by roughly 10 p.m. with just lingering showers and storms being possible behind it. Okay, so main time frame to watch for right now, 2 p.m. at the earliest, probably closer to 3 or 4 in Southwest Michigan, and it should clear the state by roughly 10 p.m. or so. So general timing, 2, 3-ish. 10 to 11-ish, okay? What are we concerned about, though, in terms of overall hazards, in terms of what we're looking at here? So the main question, if we back it up here, when we have these morning showers and storms that like to push through our area, they're associated with cloud cover, and they also can take moisture out of the atmosphere. Sometimes they can actually put moisture in the atmosphere, but most times they'll take it out. All right. So what that's going to do potentially is throw a caveat and throw a wrench in the forecast. We could have lingering cloud cover behind that line of storms here. If that happens, at that point, we'd be looking at a lesser overall severe threat because cloud cover will limit overall instability. All right, something to watch there. We move this through the time frame here. We got to pause it right there at 2 p.m. and go over here to our instability. We're going to notice here, and I lost it. All right, here is 2 p.m. right here. We notice that the instability at 2 p.m. for this line is actually decent down here in Indiana, parts of Ohio, Illinois. Behind it, though, is what we're watching. This is going to fill in here, and we're going to see it start moving up into the southern Michigan area. But notice how the very brighter colors stay off to our south across Indiana and Ohio. So this model is saying parts of Michigan up here in purple, the purple is a little bit lower levels of instability. The blues and greens, yellows and reds are the ones that indicate a higher type of threat. But overall, it just barely brushes that southern tier of counties there, roughly from, we'll say, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. there. So this model, taken as gospel, would say Southwest Michigan toward Kalamazoo area and around toward the border of Indiana would have the highest risk here. But where that purple is ending up there could be still a severe chance or two. But right now the model is saying it's highest off further to the south and west. All right. Now that's the big question, though. That could very well shift further north, but it also could very well shift further south. We're not going to really know until tonight plays out in Oklahoma. We're going to have to wait and see. All right. But the risk is there. I do think it's highest along I-94, roughly from 94 over toward Detroit. I think the east side does have that risk as well. But right now, the guidance does suggest a marginal low risk all the way up toward Mount Pleasant. And that is mainly, in my opinion, because we're going to have quite a bit of elevated instability, which could support a hail type of threat. So this is a different type of instability here. We call it most unstable CAPE. And we're going to see that most unstable CAPE in the elevated layers of the atmosphere would support that hail threat. We can see where it's kind of positioned here from roughly Ludington down toward that Detroit area, pretty much in line with the SPC's marginal risk here. So it kind of lines up pretty well. Why they put tornado risk in there, I do think they're just kind of mentioning or more so highlighting potential here that if we get enough surface heating, we could see that develop as well as a damaging wind risk. But the further north you go for right now, I do think it is going to be mainly just going to be like a hail threat with a low chance of a damaging wind gust or two. All right. If we can get instability up and going, we may be looking at a tornadic risk, but that right now is uncertain. We're not going to know that until probably tomorrow morning. So with that being said, overall timing again, 3 to 11, and that is your risk area right here. So if you guys got questions, feel free to drop those in chat. And we are actually waiting for the new day 2 outlook to pop up here. I have it pulled up. We're waiting for it to get issued. This outlook will be updated here in 10 minutes, which is also why I went live here at the 1:15 time, just because we're going to be able to see the updated day 2 here. So we'll have to wait for it to pop in here. I do have my alerts on, so I will be notified as soon as it gets issued. But this will be updated here. We'll have updated guidance here momentarily. Can you make your weather on PCs full screen for it's easier for us to see the details? Yeah, I can actually do that. There we go. That's about as full as I can get it. I can zoom in even further, but it kind of distorts, it kind of distorts everything a little bit. Like I can do it like right there. That helps you. All right. Do you see it being possible for severe to shift north and cover Macomb County? Technically, Macomb County is borderline in that risk right now. Could I see it shift north? I mean, the models would say it's highest off to your south and west. Given models right now, I don't think it's going to change much. for Macomb County. But I would say definitely keep an eye on the instability tomorrow. We could see that shift or try to shift further north. And if it does, we could see a shift. But right now, I'm looking unlikely there for you guys. How are you feeling for Grand Blanc tomorrow? Just outside the risk area, I do think the risk is highest off to your west and south. I'm not going to rule out maybe a large hail type of situation, but I don't think there's much concern up there, at least for right now, for damaging winds or tornadic activity. No problem, Flint. Do you see a possible enhanced risk further south across Indiana and Ohio? Yes. For Michigan, no. I could see that slight risk being introduced back into South Michigan, like 94 corridor areas, but I don't think they're going to do that until we have more confidence if that instability axis can get further north. If that instability axis does come further north, at that point, yeah, I would see a potential upgrade there. That's just my opinion. They're the experts. They're the ones who make the forecast. So, I mean, we're just going to go off what they say here. I'm just giving you an educated opinion with that. Possibly, Julie. Possibly tonight. We might do one. Something is being asked about Tuscola County. Tuscola County is outside of this risk. Not too much of concern up there at all. Up to an inch, Matt. Up to an inch diameter, quarter size. Calhoun County, Berry County, you guys are well within this risk area. What's up, Drew? Good to see you in here. If there is sun tomorrow morning, is that going to help instability? Yes, it will. If we have sun tomorrow, that will aid the atmosphere in terms of instability. So yes, more sun tomorrow equals more so in the way of severe weather being possible. Brighton and Branch are both in these risk areas. But again, this is about to be updated here, so this could change a little bit. We just went ahead and went live so we can actually see the update. Go ahead and switch over here to the actual Outlook here. This is not going to load for me. Come on. Come on. It's being slow today. All right. When it does get issued, though, we'll know about it. It'll pop in right here, and we can go ahead and look at it over on this page. But this page is not loading right now, so go figure. All right, back to comments. What do you think the biggest risk is going to be in the Mattawan area? So right now, Ashley, I would be over in the southwest side of the state. That would be the area I would be more so concerned for a potential all-hazard type of threat. I do think large hail tomorrow is the number one concern, but over toward that Kalamazoo area, which Mattawan would generally be in, I do think there's potential for damaging winds and perhaps a tornado being possible over there just because instability is highest as the storms move through. There is freedom. There actually is a very small sliver there in southern Michigan that is in a slight risk, but it's not something we would say it's in a slight risk. You know, it's very minimal. Yeah, there you go. So just barely portions like Frontier, Morenci, those towns maybe. Central Indiana tomorrow. I think the more so concerning areas tomorrow would be off to our south there. The environment tomorrow is supportive of all hazards to our south in Indiana as well as Ohio. But I don't think it's going to creep up into Michigan too terribly far, if not much at all. Wixom hazards tomorrow. More so concerned right now for large hail for you. The SPC does mention possibility of damaging winds as well as a tornado or two possible, but I think with latest guidance that would shift a little bit further to the west and south. So we'll see what they do here. The outlook is due here in 5 minutes, and then again we'll have it updated roughly at 2 in the morning as well. So a few more updates before they finalize everything. Main time frame for storms tomorrow is between 2 p.m. on the west side of the state, southwest side of the state to be exact. And they should clear the state by roughly 10 p.m. So 2 to 10, really 3 to 11 ish, be a good time frame. When you say it depends on what happens in Oklahoma, does that mean it could take all the energy? Yeah. So going back here to the actually, no, I don't want to do that just yet. Actually, why not? We got some time here. If we go back here and look at the model and we run this through the time frame here, the storms out in Oklahoma are going to push our way. They're not going to die in Oklahoma, but they're not also going to be severe. They're not expected to be severe either. But we see it push our way. And when that arrives, that may limit our atmosphere here by giving us cloud cover. It could take some instability with it. Like there's a lot of potential negatives that can come with severe weather here with these morning showers and storms that like to push through. The model right now says we'll be okay. We'll have instability behind it. So we'll have more storms after that first initial line. But meteorological perspective of things here, when we have cloud cover potential, there always is some concern that that may limit things overall. So technically, how tonight plays out will affect how tomorrow plays out based off that morning round of showers and storms. Rainfall predictions. I mean, locally heavy rain definitely possible tomorrow. A lot of moisture is forecast. Although widespread flooding is not likely, I would say localized flooding and stronger storms is. Looking at our precip accumulation here, we're going to see that, we see these little bands here, all the way up here to Port Austin, all the way down here, toward Kalamazoo. We have one here in Monroe County. Like these aren't exact, guys, but the general vicinity or the general picture here is isolated swaths of heavier rain, definitely a possibility. Yes, this is a really good comment here from Kyle. If I had $1 for the amount of times clouds lower the severe risk, I would be a rich man. Yes, it happens a lot, especially in summertime. So this is no exception, though. We'll have to wait for morning observations to really get a good idea of what we're going to be looking at here tomorrow. All right, back to the SPC day 2 here. Waiting for it to pop in. That's what it looks like right now. I do enjoy a good thunderstorm with good lightning. Yes, I do as well. Never want to see, damage or people's lives being affected, but a good storm once in a while is, it's good to see. At least that's my opinion, at least. How do you stream? Like, do you stream it on the Great Lakes page till it gets close to Michigan and turn on Michigan stream? It varies per setup. Tomorrow is going to be interesting because we are short staffed. Alex is on vacation. Chandler is on a business trip. So there's 2 of our guys out. Nick is working until later in the afternoon. Joel, I believe, wants to chase. So I'll probably be here on stream for MSC if need be. But right now, the focus, I think it might be to the south of our state. If that's the case, we'll be streaming on the Great Lakes page. We do have chasers who are going south, I believe. Sure will, Alicia, or Alicia. I keep saying Alicia, but I think it's Alicia. What's up, Emerson? Good to see you in here, bud. Good to see you in here, man. We can't really predict who's going to get hard and who's not going to get hit hard. All we can really say is, hey, you're in a risk for severe weather. Storms are possible. What a marginal risk basically means is storms are possible. Some could be severe, not all. Some of the storms that are possible could be severe, but not everybody within the risk is going to see a storm or could see a severe storm. It's an isolated chance. Drew, most likely chasing South Michigan if the forecast verifies. Awesome. We have Drew going out. I think we have Ben going out later in the evening. We have, I believe, a few other people going out as well. So what happens if the storms do not form in Oklahoma? Are we still under the threat for tomorrow? Yes, they would be. Technically, we are under the threat tomorrow. System is still existing. So just because nothing were to happen out to our west, that system still moves up into the good ingredients here to get potential for severe weather. So that shouldn't affect too much. But if we don't have that morning line of showers and storms, that's going to throw a huge caveat to the forecast. We could see a big increase, but I don't see that happening. I think that line that's going to convect out there is going to push our way. I think it's a pretty much guaranteed lock at this point. Today's one of the days that there's not very many, if any, fail modes out to our west at all. So Storm should have no problem getting going today out there. No, Ashley. I know how to say your name there, but there's another person in here named, I believe it's Alicia. Has the map updated yet? Not yet. I do have the mod. Oh, it actually just got issued. Just popped in here. So if I were to click this, it's going to say not found. But we'll pop in over here first. Here, it'll say update up here on this bar right here where it says Tuesday Outlook. It'll pop in and say update. So we're going to stay here. We're going to refresh just a little bit here. Wait for it to pop in here. It's Alicia spelled differently. Okay, thank you. Thank you. What is your prediction for tomorrow's outlook? I think they're going to add an enhanced risk to the south of Michigan. Wouldn't be shocked if they brought the slight just across the border there. Maybe trim the marginal back south a bit, but I do think we are going to see an upgrade tomorrow in orange for areas to our south. We're about to find out though. We'll see if I'm right. What would have to happen for the system to ramp up and put us at a high? And we're not going to go high risk with this. The last high risk in Michigan was 2013. That's how rare it is. And this is not a system that looks to be a high risk. All right, let's go ahead and refresh this here. Let's see what happens. Hey, there we go. So yes, the slight risk is now brought into Michigan, and there is an enhanced risk to the south. They did not trim the marginal though. All right, there you go. There's your new Outlook update. Let's go ahead and go over the hazards here. So southern Michigan has now been added to a 5% tornado contour. And just off to our south, there is a 10% hatched, which means strong tornadoes will be possible to our south. So not in Michigan for that, but just off to our south from about Fort Wayne down to Columbus is a good corridor there for potential tornadic activity. What the wind and hail? Let's see here. There's your hail, hatched for hail. Looks like that crosses the border just barely on the border there for significant hail. Let's go ahead and look at our wind here. Wind is still at 15%. So there you go. We have been upgraded for areas along, looks like the 94 corridor. Looks like an all hazard strep being possible. But again, I still stand by what I said earlier there. I do think it's going to depend very highly on where that corridor of instability is going to set up. If that can cross state line, yeah, I think this is a really good forecast. But if it stays to our south, that would limit the overall potential to our south. All right, keep that in mind. All right. Detroit looks like it's on the border there. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, you're close enough to be included in the slight risk there in Detroit. I do think it does, Mystic. I do think it does. We can't get an update just yet. This website here with zoomed in looks. Actually, there it is. Actually, no. That's the old. Never mind. This is going to take a little bit to update. At least it usually does. Well, there's your slight risk. There's your updated outlook here. That's updated here. So Detroit is just south of that slight, or just north of that slight risk. So Lansing, Ann Arbor, Monroe, Adrian, Jackson. Let's go ahead and zoom back out here. Let's go to Grand Rapids here. There we go. That's a better look. There's your slight risk for tomorrow. Right there along 94 up toward Lansing. Coldwater, Three Rivers, Kalamazoo, Adrian, Ann Arbor, Jackson, Monroe, all within the highest risk for tomorrow. Level 2 out of 5 now in place. All right. Thinking we have to do a live stream model watch tonight if you guys want to do that. Marginal or not, locally severe isolated tornado, definitely watching. Yes, Matt Calm, good to see you in here. You guys are up there in that risk area, so I do think the threat is highest off to the south, but regardless, the SPC guidance is the official guidance here we're going to go off of, so technically, yes. Thank you, Hamcat. That's correct. Up to 96 corridor there, for sure. It is, Anita. It is. 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. is the main time frame for tomorrow. There is your tornadic risk that is updated. So the 5% includes Kalamazoo, Lansing, Hastings, Three Rivers, Coldwater, Jackson, Adrian, Monroe, Ann Arbor. as well as downriver areas there. But the 2% still a risk all the way up here to Ludington, Manistee, almost all the way to Mount Pleasant, Saginaw, Flint, Pontiac, in a risk as well. It's just going to be highest off to the south. And I think this still, again, stands behind what I said earlier, where that instability, where it sets up, is going to be key to getting this severe threat. Because right now, on the latest guidance, it's really just off to our south, just barely brushing the southern tip of the state. So that's going to be the big question tomorrow. Right there. We were to zoom in here. The blues and greens and yellows are what we want to see for severe weather here. Still get severe weather up here, which is why you see that risk all the way up there. But further south here, where the highest amounts are, that's why the risk is highest where it is right now. Yes, Jake, they did. Yes, I would say that's right, Alicia. I do think hail is the main risk, but again, they are mentioning all hazards being possible. If enough storm fuel instability can get built, I could definitely see, damaging winds and a few tornadoes being possible as well. But it's more so conditional on the instability, which is vital to the forecast here. So it could go either way. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap this thing up right here. We'll go live maybe again tonight. We'll see. But expect to stream tomorrow in the morning for an update. We'll have updates on our page here as we get new information. And as of right now, it stands as a level 2 risk now for areas along and south of I-96. That'd be for damaging winds, large hail, and potential for a couple tornadoes being possible tomorrow afternoon between 3 p.m. and 11 p.m. All right, we'll have updates on the page for you guys. Stay tuned to your local trusted sources for weather information. With that being said, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys either tonight or tomorrow morning.